right, we're doing literal equations. I forgot to start it. Literal equations, it says solve for x. So our answer is going to look like x equals, but it's not going to be x equals 2. It's not going to be x equals, 25. It's going to be something really weird because if you look, we have 1, 2, 3 letters. And so your answer is going to be x equals, and this answer here is going to be really messy. All right? So last week we talked about how it was like cleaning up your room. You were trying to organize your room and kind of sort things out. This week, today's notes are like you're trying to just throw everything in the closet, right? I don't know if, when I was a kid and somebody would say, hey, you need to clean your room, I would just open up that closet door, throw everything in the closet, and then look, my room looks great. Open the closet, everything falls out. So that's the kind of idea. We're going to have the X looking nice and clean, but all of this is going to be a mess. All right, so this is actually a pretty simple thing to do. Here we go. The X is right here. All we need to do is get that X by itself. So what needs to move? The 2y, and not new material at all. How do we move the 2y? Minus 2y, so it moves over to the other side. It shows up as negative. We're going to have x equals. The thing about this is that it's not new, it's not difficult, but this side is kind of messy, and a lot of times what that means is there's a couple different ways to write your answer. So for this question, there's a z minus 2y. Which one do you want to put first, the z or the y? It really doesn't matter, and you're going to have like multiple choice questions, and so it might be one or the other. So if you guys said put the y first, that's negative 2y plus z. That's a totally legit answer. That works totally fine. Or the answer might have the z first. Z minus 2y. It could be either one. It's the same exact thing. It's just a little bit messy. So when you're doing like a multiple choice quiz, your assignment from today is multiple choice, and you're looking at the multiple choice answers, it might look like this, right? Letter A might say negative 2y plus z. That's a totally legit option. Or maybe this one is not there, and letter D instead says z minus 2y. So you just got to kind of pay attention to the two different versions. All right. Question number 2 is really the last one that's got something interesting to it. Number 2 has, I'll just write diff versions here. Okay. Number 2 really has the two kind of different versions that look the most different. All right. Solve for x. Where's the x? It's right here. It needs to be totally by itself. That means that we need to move the 3 and we need to move the 2y. Which one do we move first, the 3 or the 2y? It's got to be the 2y. Minus 2y, minus 2y. 3x equals 9 minus 2y. And again, it might be in the other order. Maybe the negative 2y comes before the 9. You just got a couple different options. Then you got the 3. And how do you move this 3 to the other side? You got to use divide. And here's where we're going to get those two different options. Okay? So I'm going to kind of do like this. So your first option is that they'll do one big fraction, and they'll say like this. And to me, this is the easiest one. It says divide by 3, so you just divide by 3, right? We had a 3 in front of the x. How do you move this 3? You divide. And so they'll just divide the whole thing, right? They'll just say, screw it, we got to divide, okay? Now the other option, right, I'll write or here again, because your answer might take those divided by 3. You don't, but on the, let's say we're doing a classwork today, right? And let's say you only know how to do this, but then the multiple choice doesn't have this type of answer. It has the second type of answer. You know, you don't, may not have to write them both down, but you do have to know like they're both good. You know what I'm saying? So for this second one, instead of dividing it all by 3, we're going to divide them one at a time by 3. And so we can go to Desmos, and we can do 9 divided by 3, which is 3. So we could say this first number here is a 3. And then we can say -2 divided by 3. So this is like a more normal way to do it. This is how we've done it most this year. Watch your mouth, please. We got -2 divided by 3. All right. So these are the two options, and before we move on, I just want to say one last time. These are the same exact thing. They just look different. And so maybe on the test, you know, only one of these is there, and you still got to know which one it looks like. All right, now that we've done those two, the rest of this, we're going to go pretty quickly. Number 3, speeding it up. Here's the x. Stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. I said it would be longer than 10. All right. We got this fraction. And how do we get rid of fractions? Same way we did in the warm-up. Times 2. To be fair, guys, remember we did that whole warm-up question, so like, you know, it's taking a little bit longer. All right. We multiply by 2. That's how we get rid of our fraction. Again, this is almost the same one that we did on the other side of the paper. That is 1x plus 6y equals 14. Do we need to have this 1 here? Not really. Respectfully, no, right? Once we get rid of that 1, we got to move the 6y to the other side. How do we move that 6y to the other side? Just minus 6y minus 6y. And there you go. We're going to have our answer. And there's 2 different ways to have this answer. It really doesn't matter. You want to put the 14 first, or you want to put the 6 first?
Wait, 14.
Okay, so we can put the 14 first, minus 6y, and that's it. What's up?
I'll have to look up at YouTube.
There's kind of 2 different versions for number 2.
Are you recording?
Okay, so wait, is -2y plus 9 over 3 also correct?
Is it all over 3?
Yeah, like
Yep, that would be good. All right, number 4. We're cruising. We're going. Now, number 4. Quiet, please. Quiet, please. We literally have 3 questions left. These are the last notes for the whole semester. Number 4. Number 4 is all letters, but that doesn't make it harder. We just got to move the letters and we'll be done. This one says that we're trying to get the letter R by itself. The letter R is the middle letter there. The other thing that's a little bit weird about this is that the letter R is on the wrong side. Now, please, with this letter R that's on the wrong side, it would be kind of weird to move the R, because what we typically want to do is leave that letter alone and move everything else, right? So when it says solve for x, we leave the x and we move everything else. Because this R is on the wrong side, you don't really want to try moving the R to the other side. Because if we move this R, we got to move that R using divide. When we move that R using divide, we end up with the R on the bottom. So here's what we're going to do. With the R on the wrong side, we're just going to switch the whole equation around. Instead of putting the I first, we're just going to rotate it. And we're going to put the PRT first. and we're going to put the I second. So again, our strategy is we want to leave that letter alone and move everything else. Okay, now that we've done that, we want to move with divide. And so this P, is that P being added, subtracted, multiplied, or divided to the R? It's being multiplied. That's why I said we want to divide. So we want to divide the P to the other side. But what about the T? How do we want to move the T?
Divide.
Also with divide. So what we can do is we can just move them both. That's a P times R, so move it with divide. That's a T times R, so move it with divide. And so we're going to end up with,
Is that PT?
yep, I over PT. And I know that this might be a little bit silly, but all you got to do is move this stuff around. Again, the way I like to think about it is you're just trying to shove everything in the closet.
Why don't we look things imaginary numbers?
What do you say? The exam, this is going to be on the test that's going to be coming up soon, and it might be on the exam, but the exam, don't be worried about the exam. All right, so here we go. Stay with me for this question. We'll get it. All right, really simple. We want to have the answer M equals something. All right? That's where we want to get. It says solve for M. The M is on the wrong side. And so you know what? Before we try to move the M, let's just rotate everything around. That way the M can stay where it is. So instead of putting D equals M over V, we're going to put M over V equals D. That was not a difficult step. We just rewrote it so that the M could be where it wants to be. Now, the M is on the right side, or on the correct side, I mean. It's on the left side, actually. And since it's on the correct side, we just need to isolate it. We just need to move the V. And how do you move this V?
Multiply the V
Right.
times V.
So think about it like this M is connected to the V with dividing right now. And so use your opposites, multiply, to multiply it times V. All right? We moved it using opposites, same thing we've done for months. And now we have M equals D times V. Final answer?
M equals DV.
M equals DV. Good enough. Question's over. Don't like scare yourself into this. Leave the letter alone. Think about your opposites and move stuff using opposites the same way that we've been doing literally for months. I know the answer looks weird because it's all letters, but you can handle it just because it's letters. Okay? So, the final question. This is the last notes you might ever hear Mr. Collier ever teach you ever in your whole life. Number 6. Here's the B. We want to solve for the B. Do we need to flip the whole question around? No, because the B is already on the left. So we're looking pretty good. Our answer wants to be B all by itself. And this right side is going to be a little bit messy. Over here with the B is a 7 and is an A. Now this A is making a fraction. I don't like fractions. I want to get rid of fractions. This B is divided by A. So how do we do the opposite of this A? Right, pretty simple. We just multiply both sides by A, which is going to get rid of this A over here. Just like it does on number 3, on number 5, on number 6. Over here, this A is not going to cross out, so we're going to have B minus 7 equals DA. A really simple, just multiply both sides, easy peasy move. And now, there's only one more thing we got to do. We got to move that 7. How do you move that 7? You just add 7 on both sides. Nothing complicated, right? Nothing new. Stuff we've done over and over again. And so we get 7's gone. We got b equals dA plus 7. dA plus 7.
Goodbye, Mr. Boyer.
Goodbye. And that's it.
What?
So
What are you talking about?
that was the very last notes we're doing all semester. So he was saying goodbye. That's it. So if this is confusing you, very cool. If this is confusing you, just take a deep breath. All you gotta do is solve for B. There's the B. You're gonna have to move the 7. You're gonna have to move the A. Just like the first week of school when we did solving equations with one step, move the A. Times A times A. There you go. It's gone. Now, just like the first week of school, move the 7. Add 7, add 7. The trick is ignore the right side, focus on the left side, clean up the left side, even though the right side is a mess.